Hi everybody! This presentation is going to walk you through how to write good test questions. This is especially important because if your test questions aren't written very well, then your children might not achieve as well as they could have. Hence, you might have data that is inaccurate. You might think kids don't understand a concept that they really do. So what you refer to as the question on a test, usually by number, question 2, question 3, are actually called items. The question part is what we call a stem, and that stem should always be a complete sentence with an end mark. It can be a true-false statement that ends in a period. It could be a fill in the blank that ends in a period. It could just be a traditional question mark for the stem. Distractors are what we call your incorrect answers. So if you have a multiple choice question and it has A, B, C, or D as the options, say A is the correct answer, but B, C, and D are all distractors. And they should always be logical and based upon the topic. You have to start thinking about your data mathematically. If you're asking kids a multiple choice question and there's 4 options, there's a 25% chance that they would guess correctly. However, if you have 2 answer options that are logical and 2 that are not, they have a 50% chance of guessing correctly. This means you might have inflated data. You might think all the kids know the answer, but really they were just really good at guessing. We typically avoid all of the above and none of the above answers. Your high quality assessments that are created by Pearson and the testing company are not going to have these options, because in all of the above or none of the above questions are actually different cognitive tasks. If you're asking kids a multiple choice question, you're asking them to choose out of the answers what the correct one would be. If you add in all of the above or none of the above at the bottom, now you're asking kids to rationalize through there. That's not the best way for students to show you their cognition. A short answer would be a more appropriate item. In general, avoid all of the above and none of the above. Always have an extra answer if you're doing matching. None of the programs allow you to do matching for online, but you might decide one day to use a paper test and have a matching with vocab. Always have an extra one so that when kids get to the bottom and they're having to finish, say, number 10 in their last item, they have 2 options. They have a 50-50 shot of guessing correctly. Never use repetitive words in answers. Always keep the same tense. This is especially important for students who are ELL or ESL because they will analyze the grammar of the question and answers to try to guess the correct one. Alphabetize at the end all of your answer options by major word. When you're writing your first test and say you have a 10 question, it's all multiple choice quiz, you will probably pick the same place to put your correct answers. It happens to everybody. If you just write all your tests and write all the answer options and then go back and alphabetize the options, you won't have the issue with the scheme or the plan or kids guessing that, oh, Dr. Rupert always chooses B or C. I'm a hardcore C person. So it's important that everything go in ABC order. So let's go through and test a little bit. These are items that I wrote a very long time ago, 13, 14 years ago, when I first started teaching. On the left-hand side, you have one question draft, and on the right-hand side, you have another. I want you to read through this, pause the video, and figure out which one you think is the best and meets the standards we just talked about. At a glance, you should have chosen option on the left-hand side because the stem is a complete sentence. Right from the stem, students know what's being asked of them. There's a question mark there. The one on the right has issues because students have to read every single option as a completion of that sentence. And then they have to figure out which one sounds right. That's not the best way to ask a question. It also takes up a lot of time and can tire out your readers. So the one on the left is better because the stem is a complete sentence and ends in a question mark. Here we have another one. Pause the video and pick your best one. You should have chosen option on the right because the option on the left has the word elephant as an option for B. We know elephants have nothing to do with grammar. So students are looking at this and they're like, all right, well, B is not the right answer. So now they have to pick between the 3 and they have a 33% chance of guessing correctly. So your data is going to be inflated. We wouldn't want that to happen. Here we have another question. Pause the video, figure out which one you like the best. You should have chosen the one on the left because the grammar and the tense is the same for every single answer option. The one on the right has past tense, present tense, future tense. We wouldn't want that. So we want to choose the one on the left, all in the same tense. Here we have another set of questions. Pause the video, pick which one you like the best. You should have chosen the one on the right. The one on the left has 2, 2, 2, 2 in each answer. It's repetitive. It's not needed. I see this a lot with early test creators. They'll use the word to or the or a, and you just don't need it. It's repetitive. Here's another example. Pause the video, figure out which one you like the best. You should have chosen the one on the left. The answer options are in alphabetical order. This gives every test item the same flow, and you don't have to worry about which, letter you've chosen to put your answers in, because it'll always be random. This item I added last semester after I had a student who submitted her assignment, and every single item on her quiz was written like the one on the left. The issue with the example on the left is that there's no question. There's no stem. It's just a word. So students are like biographies. And so instantly they have to think about everything they know about biographies. Then they have to read every option. And they're like, okay, which one do I think is good? Oh, no, it's an all of the above. Could any of these work in what situation? Oh, no, it's a none of the above. Well, maybe they don't work. And so now students are trying to do too many cognitive tasks at one time. There's a theory called cognitive load theory, and this is where you see it happening. If you want a better written item, what gives you better data and really shows you what your kid knows, you want to choose to write your items like the one on the right. What is the purpose of a biography? Complete sentence. Kids can instantly say, okay, well, the purpose of a biography is, to tell someone's story. So then they read the options and they're like, oh, look, tell someone's story. See, there we go. Much quicker, much cleaner, better written. Everything's in the same tense. The stem is a complete sentence. It's in alphabetical order. I love it. It's beautiful. So why should you care? Having well-written test items leads to a greater testing success. Guidelines help students demonstrate what they actually know, not what they're capable of guessing. We all have strategies to help us when we're taking an assessment and we don't know the answer. Let me look at the tense. Let me do the process of elimination. Let me do all of these things. Well, we try to cut those down so that we can actually just get to what students know. And the guidelines also help our diverse learners. I've talked a lot about students that might have a reading issue or a comprehension problem or test anxiety, which is very common. God bless him, my godson has horrible test anxiety. So questions that are well written can help reduce that. And you might actually be asked at an IEP meeting to recreate your assessments in a different way for students. And so we have to keep these guidelines in check, use them all the time so that we can hopefully help everyone learn. I hope this video was helpful for you. I'm going to go back up here. I would really, really, really like you to apply all of these tenets of assessment while you're creating your 5 items for the assessment this week. You will learn far more than this in the graduate assessment class, but these are like the basics that you should know at this point. Make sure, at the very least, that you have a complete sentence as your stem. If you're doing a fill in the blank, just put the blank and then a word and then a period. Figure out a way to make it work. It's really super important that you also alphabetize those multiple choice answers. That way, it's completely random and there's no unintentional system to your test writing. Okay? I hope those things help you out. Email me if you have questions. If you want me to look at anything, I'm happy to do so.